The date is November 9th, 2021, and This Week in Modern returns with the conclusion of Season 2, Midnight Hunt. I am Mono Green of Llanowar, and I've got some tickets to award to some trophy tusslers, some weekend challenges to talk about, and some amazing 5-0 decks to take a look at, as well as the modern metagame. There's no time to waste, no reason to wait, so let's go and see what the world of Modern looks like as we are 2 weeks away from Channel Fireball, Las Vegas.
This Week in Modern presents the Trophy Tussle.
Tomorrow, the Trophy Tussle final positions will be locked in, yes, just 12 hours from the debut of this episode. And with the gaps in the standing, it looks like these will likely be the final positions. So, let's take a look at the end of Season 2 of the Trophy Tussle. In first place, your Trophy Tussle 2 champion with 27 trophies and a come-from-behind victory by a landslide of 3 trophies, Punt Then Wine. In second place, carried by the development of and frequent play of 4-color Sky Noodle mid-range, Martinez DP. Jacob the Pensword Comiskey snagged third place with 21 trophies, continuing to succeed mostly on his favorite deck, Blue Moon, in a variety of forms. In fourth place, the amazing accomplishments of Capoeira 02 that has stood despite his account being banned for a full month before today. And finally, your trophy board final placement, number 5, Grief Blade Master Nazart, who has put up numerous great placements in challenges on the same deck. A number of other deck specialists are here just tied off the board with 16 trophies, including previous trophy leader Pi Ganti, Yawgmoth Master Demonic Tutors, Etron Powerhouse, the Tunneling Cat, who is an amazing 5-0 to be shared with us all this week, and Grinder Mistaken. And there's a whole crop more players just behind that, including Aspiring Spike, Hugo Freitas, Doomwake, and Terror of the Qs, the terrifying spirit pilot, Dr. Queller. All our trophy leaders in the top 5 spots will be receiving a cut of the This Week in Modern prize pool after we've confirmed the results on Wednesday evening. For now, a hearty congratulations to them all. The Trophy Tussle may be taking a break next season, but keep your eyes open and your ears on the airwaves, and we'll definitely see. For now, let's turn our attention instead to the weekend's challenges, where we'll check on the progress of Blue-Red Murktide after its glow-up last weekend, and see how Blue-White Control and Hammer Time are doing after their difficult weekends of being the metagame's prime targets.
This Week in Modern presents Challenge Recaps.
The Saturday Challenge had an unexpectedly indomitable winner, and some great placements from spicy decks throughout. In first place, streamer Mana Symbol on his longtime favorite deck, Indomitable Creativity. We've got a clip of the final moments. Let's take a look.
Yeah, this is fine though. As long as we don't draw Emrakul or Emissary, which we could do even. I did just put this back in the deck, by the way. Yeah, Brainstorm Bug. No, we're gonna X2. It's fine, Emrakul's lethal anyway. Found lethal. Yay! I mean, they can't Living End right now. They're casting Bone Crusher, aren't they? Yeah, that's not good enough. So we just unsummon that. We're there. It's over. I'm not gonna cry. The art on creativity is absolutely amazing. You should drink your champagne out of a coupe.
Wow. Tense moments under the Blood Moon for this 4-color deck with very limited basic lands. The Indomitable Creativity deck uses a set of 13 Planeswalkers as of late as a way to generate value, interact with the board, and even win the game, along with a pile of removal and light counter magic. This either puts the game in a position where the Planeswalkers can win it, or they can Indomitable Creativity a combination of dwarves, crabs, clues, treasure, or any other miscellaneous junk into Emrakul and Sarah's Emissary. A powerful 1-2 punch that is almost impossible to solve for most of the decks in the modern metagame. In second place, putting up a good fight, was a longtime competitor on Living End in different forms, Belfi. Bringing back a build with very limited black cards, a Teamer build, featuring main deck copies of Bone Crusher Giant, Deadshot Minotaur, Titanic Rex, and 4 endurances but 0 grief. This gives the deck a much greater ability to play out without a copy of Living End resolving at all, and they can put pressure on their opponents to interact with their creatures, then use Living End as a backup play to bring them all back. In the semifinals bracket, fresh from a great appearance at the SCG Invitational, Grixis Monkey, played by Heir of Elendil 15. Ragavan, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Snapcaster Mage, and 2 Kroxa come together in this Luris Tempo shell, alongside a very high density of discard, counters, and interaction that gives the deck a very different angle of tempo and grind than Blue-Red Murktide, while sharing many of the same core cards. Coco Lopez played a very stock blue-white control with no copies of Jace in 4th place. And down the top 8, masterful player and streamer Aspiring Spike, who was on a tear recently, has made 5th place on Black-Red Luris, featuring main deck copies of Turok, Dread Cantor. Twinless Twin made 6th place on Grixis Dress Down Shadow. Kalado 7th on Blue-White Control. And Nade made 8th place on Amulet Titan, featuring a white-heavy sideboard with prismatic endings and Rest in Peace, rather than the blue cards that the deck is typically known for as a sideboard color. But there are a few more developments down the rest of the challenge lists that are worthy of attention. In 10th place, Hall of Famer Gabe Nassif fell barely short of the top 8 with a deck that has been exploding in popularity over the last week, 4-color Omnath. For those who don't remember the terror of the previous format, this great money pile relies on Ren 6 and Teferi Time Raveler, Jace and Teferi Hero Dominaria, supported by now Solitude, Fury, Prismatic Ending, Counterspell, and Expressive Iteration. Force of Negation and even Supreme Verdict make appearances in this list. This deck is certainly able to take down blue-white control on value, and doesn't seem to fold easily to Hammer Time or the other aggressive decks in the format. Speaking of Hammer Time, 4-color Sky Noodle, Yawgmoth, Blue Moon, and Amulet also made appearances within the top 16. Nikachu made 19th on Merfolk, Spider Space made 22nd place on Urian, Oswald, and Taxes, and Affinity in 23rd place was placed by Jamie Jr. On Sunday, there was a very different mix of old and new, with Blue-Red Murktide taking a challenge win for the 2nd time in as many weeks. This time in the hands of SWFF, who took down a 4-color Omnath deck played by Maksha in the finals. In 3rd, 4th place was Wafo Tapa on Blue-White Control and 4-color Sky Noodle played by Alt Nichilo. And between 5th and 8th, there was Gabe Nassif and another copy of the 4-color Omnath deck played by Ziyang Hu Kai. Tybalt of the Red Sub continuing to do well on Blue-Black Mill in 5th, and in 8th place was a mono red prowess deck that was piloted by Gabriel 91, very similar to Emahashi's 5-0 of this week, containing Gigantha, Soulscar Mage, Monastery Swiftspear, and Abbot of Carol Keep. And while Burn didn't seem to put up a great day on Saturday, it did put Quiniac into 9th place on Sunday. Canister landed in 13th on the Saturday, then 11th in this Sunday challenge back-to-back days, proving that both he and the Sky Noodle mid-range deck are very competitive in the current world of Modern. BTL Shift made an appearance in 12th. Tom the Boss Ross came in 14th place with Black Grain Yawgmoth. And a shocking return, Jeskai Tempo in 18th place by Sokos, very similar to Grixis Luris Monkey, but playing Prismatic Ending over all the black cards. Down the top 32, we don't have any crazy brews too far off the beaten path on this Sunday, but let's take a look at the total metagame breakdown with the data that has become available from hard work of Bamzig, assisted by Canister and Doomswitch. Over the whole weekend, Hammer Time brought an amazingly large number of copies, but didn't manage to get any of their players into a top 8 of either day. Meanwhile, Blue-White Control and 4-color Omnath had fantastic weekends in terms of top 8 appearances versus their representation in the overall meta. This was, however, due to some extremely talented players putting them out there. Coco Lopez, Wafo Tapa, Gabe Nassif, and the 4-color Omnath control deck in particular being an evolution of Blue-White Control that has the advantage in the mirror and seems to sacrifice a little consistency and vulnerability to land disruption for power. Is Modern perhaps more about skill and comfort on a particular deck than choosing the exact correct deck for the metagame? Meanwhile, Blue-Red Murktide's meteoric rise from last week seems to have cooled off a little bit, but it did take home one challenge win on this weekend, and of course has more representation in the top 32 than it did before the Consider changeover. As we mentioned last week, many of these lists, in fact, all 7 Murktide decks that were published over the weekend were playing the full boat of Consider, and next to 0 copies of Thoughtscour. Rhinos and Living End continue to have a stable representation in the results, with Living End getting the better of this week. Rhinos perhaps taking a hit due to the experimentation with a Solitude-less, Urian-less 4-color version, which seems to have performed more poorly than the Teamer version. Jun Sagavan has been losing a more and more of the metagame share in favor of Black-Red or Grixis Luris shells. The long grinding potential of Renin 6 and Saga combined with Tarmogoyf having some weakness against graveyard hate that Shadow, Monkey, Ragavan, Dothy Voidwalker, and Turok get to dodge. The Yawgmoth contingent doesn't seem to be picking up a huge number of new followers, but it certainly seems to be more stable and getting solid results. Burn also seems to have fallen off a little bit in the top results, despite people bringing a reasonable number of copies. And as we roll into the Crimson Vow season, we'll keep an eye on what few cards from this standard release might make their way into the challenges. But the real place we'll keep our eyes out for these new cards is the Magic Online 5.0 deck dump. So let's take a last look at the Midnight Hunt 5.0s. A red-green based beatdown deck made the 5.0, including copies of Teamer Ascendancy, alongside smashy 4-power staples, Grull's Spellbreaker, Bonecrusher Giant, Tarmogoyf, Old Growth Troll, Clothis, Ronus the Indomitable, and Questing Beast. Canister got the posting with a 4-color Song of Creation combo elemental strategy developed by streamer Moored to Light. This list uses the mid-range elemental package of the 4-color Sky Noodle mid-range deck, alongside Bergy God of Storytelling, Mox Amber, and a few tricky spells like Strike It Rich and Conflagrate to draw through the whole deck after resolving Song of Creation, and blow away the opponent with a giant Conflagrate. Hayashi continues to find trophies in the most unlikely of mono-red mid-range places, with this Obosh free Gigantha free list, including 4 copies of Chandra Torch of Defiance, perhaps preparing the world for what Chandra Dressed to Kill is going to bring to the party. And he got another posting with mono-red prowess, similar to what did well in the Sunday Challenge. The Tunneling Cat couldn't put down this wild brew, Dwarf Bugs, and after weeks of tweaking and tuning, finally got to a lucky enough version to be able to make that trophy. Urian, Pyre of Heroes, and an endless parade of changelings team up with Magda and Grist to create a deck of such unbelievable confusing power and occasional turn 3 kills you'll have to see it to believe it. And you can catch the Tunneling Cat live on twitch.com on evenings of many nights. Esper Control, Thopter Sword combo with Oswald, Fiddlebender, Boomer Jund with Huntmaster of the Fells, and more can be found in the last couple of 5.0s, so check them out. And if you've got something awesome to show us, put up a 5.0 and you just might get featured here on This Week in Modern. Well, that about does it for Season 2 of This Week in Modern. All the Modern news fit to be told can be found weekly here with me, Mean Mono Green of Llanowar. But of course, if you've got an interesting story, deck, or anything about the Modern format to tell us, don't forget you can tweet us at TwimMTG or email us at thisweekinmodern@gmail.com. For now, take care, have a good week, a good night, and I wish you the best of luck and the best of top decks.